This is the 21st season of Bass Talk Live. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Strike King Lures, AFTCO, Pro Guide Batteries, Spro, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, Beatdown Outdoors, and Sunline.
BTL coming at you.
Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we are going to talk about bass fishing holiday weekend. Behind us had a really good show yesterday with Ott Defo on the water in Tennessee, Clearwater River, smallmouth fishing out of the jet boat with his 14-year-old son and super agent JD Blackburn in the back. Let me know what you guys think about the on the water interviews. Now, was it him staring directly at the screen? Really, he did get pretty in depth, but I mean, it was kind of broken up because they were catching a fish every third cast. You guys like the sit down, the talk? Do you like the more adventure style, kind of maybe some on the water stuff, interviewing guys that are talking about it as it goes down on their water? I don't know. It just kind of opened up my mind to some potentially new BTL content, which we have coming in October with the launch of Crappie Talk Live, which I'm exceptionally excited about. But back on the water this week on the St. Lawrence River, the NPFL guys, the no forward facing sonar. It'll be interesting to see how that goes down, how those fish are caught. It's also been a while since you've had I may or may not have some signed money from him on the wall there from the last time he was in studio a while ago. We've had him on. Kyle Patrick. I was looking for, I had some questions on how things, so, you know, I try to take, I wouldn't call it like a mental health break, but just like a little break kind of in that summer time frame. You get through all the spring and the first tournaments and everything starts to line, and then it kind of slows down around that June, July time frame a little bit with the heat of the summer, with ICAST coming up, and there's a bunch of stuff that's kind of been going on behind the scenes with a lot of the different tours, and I'm trying to get my head wrapped around it. So I said, screw it. I was going to call him up and chat with it about it anyway, and I said, we'll just do it live on BTL. And he's from New York, so he can talk about what's going on in the NPFL on the St. Lawrence River as well. So there's Kyle Patrick wearing the new AFTCO. That looks like that. Is that one that the only way I can describe it is moleskin? Like you ever felt like moleskin, like that you used to like your, I don't know if you're anyone in your life who ever like would put it on like the back of their bunions on their heels, but it like felt really soft, or like lamb's ear. You ever felt the? Yeah. I know.
No.
And a sweatshirt.
You're honestly right. It's such an intriguing material, and it's so warm, and just like it almost like, I don't know. It doesn't fall weird. You know how sometimes sweatshirts, like when you wear them, like the back like sticks out.
Yeah.
Like this stays like, you know, like fit on you, but like isn't too tight. I love it.
I don't even know if it's available yet on AFTCO. I know they had it at the media event at Hartwell, and then I was able to snag one. And then if you watch the Jude video that Adam Bartuzek from the Crappie Chronicles did, like I wore that thing exclusively for like 4 straight days. It's not something that you want to wear like in the summer down south, but definitely a nice little AFTCO plug there. NPFL on Thousand Islands. I don't think that much will change without forward-facing sonar on this event. Do you, Kyle?
You know, I think it's the coolest thing ever. I wish that I could have signed up for it, because nothing is more exciting to me than fishing for largemouth on the St. Lawrence River, and you just can't do it when there's forward-facing sonar involved.
Oh, you think largemouth might play in this event?
That's what I would be doing. Now, is it going to win? Probably not. But man, there's 20.
Then why would you be doing it?
No, probably not. Okay. I would put all my eggs in that basket to try to win on largemouth, because you can. And the other thing is I put all my eggs in the largemouth, bucket. And then, dude, everywhere on that river system, you can catch a 5-pound smallmouth. So you don't need to practice smallmouth as much or at all. You could maybe have 2 or 3 spots between your largemouth. I don't know. I just know the largemouth get giant there, and it's so fun to catch them, and they're dumb. I mean, they're dumb. The largemouth there are dumb. Like you pitch your jig in and they come out and smoke and it's a 6-pounder. Like, I think there'll be some largemouth play. I really do.
How often do you get to go there and just fun fish being from New York? Like how far are you kind of grow up from Thousand Islands?
Far enough that like I've been there. I probably went there back in the day like 3 times a year.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'm not like, as good as any of these other guys are there that, live in Clayton or whatever. I'm actually, that is by far my worst lake, hands down. If you look at my stats, I think I have a 112 in the Open 2 years ago. And then the last elite event there, I had like a 78. So
didn't you catch like a 10-pounder? No, I had you on because we did the fizzing with it live on BTL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I know it and I catch good ones there. Like I know where they live, but for some reason it just hasn't materialized. I don't know what the deal is there, but it's still an amazing fishery and one that you really have to get to in New York. Like it's as good as it gets. I mean, you pick a shoal and you drop a drop shot or throw a jig and you're going to catch big ones. It may be only 2 and maybe 200, but like you're going to catch big ones every time you go out there.
I have buddies who don't really smallmouth fish regularly. And then, we sit around and drink a couple beers and they're like, all right, one smallmouth trip. Like where are you going? Like it's just a week. They're avid fishermen. They have a boat, but they haven't just been up north. And I know you guys are headed to Lake St. Clair here to kind of pick up the Elite Series schedule again, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But I struggle between telling them, and I know there's others, but if you're going to pick, the 3 major, you have Lake St. Clair, you have Erie, and I would say more so out of Buffalo because you get further down, it's you can go you're close to Lake St. Clair there, and you have Thousand Islands. Like I said, that's just the northern in my mind. Like those are the 3 kind of major smallmouth fishing adventure spots.
For sure. Here's what I'll say about St. Clair. The problem I see with it, the way I like to fish, I don't like how there's not a whole lot of structure there. Like the St. Lawrence, you get to fish like big boulders, like all kinds of like amazing, like, you're next to islands and like, there's contour lines everywhere. St. Clair is just a bowl. So that gets a little boring to me. Like I don't want to go and launch in a gigantic pond. If that's literally what it is. It's just a gigantic pond and you go around and scope. And I'm not hating on scope. I like scope, believe it or not. I really like scope. But I can't go to like it. It's not like I wouldn't take a trip there. I would rather go to the St. Lawrence because of the beauty, like around the St. Lawrence Thousand Islands, like that, in my opinion. I'm biased too, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, I would say if you're like, hey, my goal is to just catch sheer numbers of 3 to 4 pound smallmouth. I don't care about anything else. I think St. Clair is the deal for you.
You're right.
If you're looking for like an experience where you may or may not, and I mean, all of them are weather dependent, but yeah, St. Lawrence is just so I get the kind of Canadian wild north backwoods feel when you launch on the St. Lawrence, and St. Clair, you get the, God, I hope my thumb is still attached to my hand by the end of today.
Yeah, literally. Oh, you can't see it. My thumb's destroyed.
Yeah, and then Buffalo is kind of unique in its own right too. I mean, I was covering Elite Series tournaments on Buffalo back when was it Kenta Kimura was like running almost all the way over to was it Kenta?
No.
Who was the Japanese angler who was running? Who was making all that? He made like that crazy run. This is your home state.
I know. I don't know.
I'm trying to think of who that would be. Someone help me out in the comments here. No, Kenta's on the Elite Series now. He's no longer on Kota Kiriyama.
Oh, Kota. Okay.
Yeah. It was like 2008.
Yeah, okay.
Out of Buffalo. It was the one Darren Schwink, or he might have done that later. Darren Schwinkbeck sunk his boat and a Bassmaster boat in the same day.
That's funny.
Yeah. And then just weighed in and was like, well, got the $10,000 check. But will that still take 70 pounds, you think, to win the St. Lawrence on the MPFL 3 days?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, dude, you can it is tougher without live scope, but dude, you can drag a jig there and be on the right two little areas and catch 25 pounds in 45 minutes. You know what I mean? I just feel like a lot of those guys, I mean, how many elite guys are on fishing the MPFL now? It's the whole top 10 is elite guys in AOI.
Pretty wild.
It is it's kind of funny how it's I wonder how many in the next 5 years, depending on what happens with everything, how many elite guys are going to be fishing. They might as well call it the Bassmaster Elite Series ×2 or something.
It's an interesting dynamic that you have there, because with that, name notoriety becomes eyeballs, which eyeballs translate to sponsorship. But you also have your core group of NPFL anglers who have been there for the past 4 or 5 years, and the ups and downs, and Carson comes to mind, some things like that, where I know they want to compete against the top, but that also was a trail to kind of make their name and have their own kind of brand over there. So I understand the value of having the Zach Burgess and Kyle Welchers and Patrick Walters and things like that on that trail, but and Hackneys and things, but it's also to see how that dynamic will evolve over the next couple of years. And I think that there's a lot of positivity and a lot of, pulling the rope in the same direction over there too, because I think a lot of, you take, Hackney, Swindle, those type of guys, West Logan, they're treating it. I mean, it's a $5,000 entry fee, but it's not their primary source of income. Right. It's not their primary focus. And you look behind the scenes at, a BPT or an Elite Series, and I think there's a lot of conflict behind the scenes because there's so many lives that are at stake there, whereas they're just rolling over to the NPFL and competing in it, and they don't really have any skin in that game, where I think the same problems that are, I say issues, situations, rules that would just transfer to the MPFL if those guys decided to make that their primary tour where they base their livelihood off of.
Yeah. It's an interesting dynamic. I mean, I think eventually it'll come to a crossroads where there'll be some, I mean, dude, we are not far from having something big happen in the next 2 to 5 years where things get totally jumbled, and there's there's been a fire brewing for 5 years, and at some point, the hot air balloon fills up, it's gonna pop, and I don't know what it is, and I'd say that, but if I had money on the line, I would say something pretty either revolutionary or serious, or something's gonna happen here, that is, whether it be purchasing of a league or a change is going to have to be made at some point. Do you agree or disagree?
You just look back historically, there's been a 5 to 7 year major shift in our sport from the very beginning, whether it's, invitationals, top 150s, the Elite Series, the FLW. Like I said, I read, have you read Newell's book yet?
No.
Egos, Logos, and Fishing Pros.
I want to read that.
An inside look at professional bass fishing in the modern era. Dude, you would love this. It goes through all the FLW days and the wars between kind of bass and FLW, and the rise of social media and the importance of the pros, and how it all was the golden age, the ESPN years, kind of dabbles into what we're dealing with in 24. Anyway, long story short, if you read that, you kind of get a vibe. There's been major changes consistently in the sport throughout it. The longest running thing is the 17 years of the Bassmaster Elite Series and the name of that and kind of how it's done. But I mean, even just since the split in 19, you look at some major changes with the Bass Pro Tour. Started out with, 80 now it's down to 65. It's going to go to 50 next year. the NPFL. I mean, every 3 to 5 years something happens. I don't know if it's good. I don't know if it's bad. I don't know if it's just business, because you're dealing with independent contractors and for-profit businesses here. Like, I mean, these are not nonprofits,
right?
Bassmaster, NPFL, Major League Fishing. I mean, they're all making business decisions, which has taken me a long time to kind of come to grips with and realize that you are a commodity to them.
Are they making business decisions though?
They're making some decisions. Yeah, they're making business decisions. Some people may.
It doesn't feel like it sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into it.
Says, come on, Kyle, let the cat out of the bag. I don't think, listen, BTL never done rumors, innuendo, anything. No. I don't think there is a cat to be let out of the bag. I think you're just talking about the overall feeling of the climate.
Yeah, I think that what I mean by that, and I'll say it honestly, is like, I mean, obviously, if forward-facing sonar is the biggest discussion right now. What's going to happen with the Elite Series? What's going to happen with, I mean, MLF? Like, you never know. They change year by year. But like, from a business decision standpoint, I mean, I think it's pretty clear at this point that taking away forward-facing sonar on the Elite Series isn't necessarily going to help Bassmaster's business. So I think, yes, they make business decisions, but I also think they make decisions based on, the feeling of their anglers too, which frankly isn't a business decision, because as well as I do, Matt, okay, 30 guys are unhappy. I've heard it said a million times, like, any angler can be replaced. Fact. Eventually, it's not like the anglers make up Bassmaster. Bassmaster is Bassmaster for a reason. They're, and MLF too, right? Like, they have, Bassmaster, I was talking to my dad about this. Bassmaster is the equivalent of like Q-tips or, any of those brands that come into an industry, and like, no matter what, when you think of bass fishing, that's what you think of. Like, when I think of Q-tips, even if it's not a Q-tip, I say, hey, pass me those Q-tips. Like, that's
Coke.
Their branding is the sport, in my opinion. And that's a little bit biased, obviously, but like, they've been around the longest. They have grown, I think, pretty dang well. And so my point is, I think that sometimes they make decisions based on the sport, not on business. In times when it's just very interesting decisions. But and like I said, this is all just me chatting. Like, I don't know anything. I'm the same as any of the viewers. Like, I don't know what's going to happen.
Now, let me ask you some questions. And I understand there's some things you signed. I'm not trying to get into any business that shouldn't be made public. I don't know if there is any or whatever. I'm not on the Elite Series, so I don't get any, privy of that. But it seems like what is the behind the scenes thing? Like, have you taken questionnaires? Have there been things out? I know they made this advisory board last year that was supposed to speak on behalf of the anglers, where you have your representatives for it and on the board. And then if you do that, you go, MLF kind of has the same thing. They had the same thing with their advisory panel and things. Like, how is that? Are there pieces behind the scenes in motion like that? Do you feel like there will be an announcement, a change, a press release that things are staying the same, so a release that it'll go back to however many transducers and whatever that you want? Like, do you think there will be a change in 2026 as opposed to the final two events here, 2025? Because I mean, this thing moved rapidly from people going, hey, this is pretty cool stuff, to, oh my gosh, to, hey, this guy has 8 graphs and 7 transducers on his boat, to 1 like, all this is just 4 or 5 years. So will next year be the same with Bassmaster? Or do you think there will be something that has changed?
Look, they'll guaranteed be a change. I don't know what it is. I would imagine there is, based on the angler board. I mean, the angler board has been interesting because, I mean, putting 100 anglers in a chat isn't exactly the best way to get things done, in my opinion. We've seen, like, it's anglers in the history of the sport have never agreed, ever. But we have made some headway on certain things. People's opinions are discussed, and that gets basically transferred over to Chase and Phillip. And they're going to make a decision based on what they want to do. That's just the facts. Like, and it's a weird thing where it's like, I actually don't know what's going to happen. Everyone's like, oh, it's going to go 50-50, 100%. And like, I could see it going 50-50. I could also see them saying, look, we're going to lose hundreds of thousands of dollars in sponsorships if we go 50-50, because now all the big graph companies, they're like, well, we lost 50% of our value. As far as live goes, because that obviously is a big value add for them. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't have the answer. So I do think something will change. But it's really hard for me to say, because I think Bassmaster has their hands full. And honestly, I don't know if they even know what necessarily the right decision is right now. I mean, you have anglers talking to Chase and Phillip and a Bassmaster in general, whoever, all the time. This opinion, that opinion, this opinion, that. There's like a million opinions floating around everywhere on what needs to be done. They have to consider, if they do change something. Look, when you change a sport, I'm going to call it a sport. I have my doubts as to whether bass fishing is truly a sport, simply because of all the changes that are constantly made to the rules. You don't see any other sport where, like, the NFL doesn't come in. Like, Dakota talked about it. Like, you don't have constant rule changes that totally change the game. That's where it makes it challenging for me to say, okay, bass fishing is a sport. Like, yeah, I think it is. But if you constantly change like the rules of the game, it's hard to say, yeah, we're a sport, because that's more of a game than a sport. I think it'll be really interesting to see what happens. I think I have confidence that Bassmaster will make the right decision. I think Bassmaster takes a lot of slack, but I do think that they care a lot about the sport and about the anglers and about the overall health of the industry. So I think that they'll do a good job, whatever they decide. And, they have to take into consideration, look, if you change the rules of the game, you got to change the rules of the game and enforce the rules of the game for every single league that you run down the list. If it's 50-50 and you put a lockbox on all our transducers, well, then you got to do that. In my opinion, you have to do it in the opens. You have to do it in the college series, and you have to do it all the way down to high school. Mm-hmm. I know that's crazy. It's like,
what's interesting to me is fishing has seemed to evolve, or rule changes have evolved from the top down, whereas in other major sports, they start down and work their way up. Meaning in hockey, when they want to open up the game and stop the neutral zone trap by taking out the 2-line pass, they'll start that in the CHL or the AHL, play it out for a couple years, and then see how it plans out. They'll do the same thing. They did the same thing with the when they wanted more offensive zone and goalies became really good at handling the puck, they put the area behind the net that the goalie, so he, you couldn't have a Martin Brodeur that would go out into the corner, pick the puck up and send it down. It would allow the dump and chase to play more. You see pitch clocks that started in the minors, like just all sorts of like the rule changes would start and then work their way up. However, there's not as an organized or way to test it, because there's not a comparable minor league in fishing. A 230 boat Bassmaster Open is a hell of a lot different than a 96 boat Elite Series tournament, logistically as well, when you're dealing with the cost. So that's what makes it interesting.
This was what I wish. I wish that there wasn't as much opinion involved in making this decision. For the record, no matter what they do, I'm still going to fish. I'm still going to enjoy myself so much, because really, sometimes it's a bummer. I have to be on the road for a month or two. I'm away from Caroline. I have all this travel and stuff, but like, I love my job. I mean, I think a lot of people like their job. There are some people on the Elite Series that hate their job, which I find unbelievable, because it's like, why are you still doing it then? Why don't you just move on? And I think that you're seeing that more and more now, where guys just you can just tell they don't want to be there, which is horrible. I don't know how you continue to do it. Anyway, my point is, when like Bassmaster has to, I wish that they would make the decision based on what's best for Bassmaster and what's best for the industry, and scrap all the opinions. Everyone has their own opinion, and they're listening to the opinions of anglers too much. If for them, the best business decision was to ban live scope 100%, I am on board. I am fishing next year, and I'm happy about it. What I don't understand is if they're listening to high profile anglers, or not. I mean, they're treating all anglers equally, but if there's, and I promise you that, because I promise they're treating everyone pretty much equally, because there are big names that have said one way or the other. And I don't think Bassmaster really says, oh, well, we should listen to this guy over this guy. They've done a good job of doing that. I just wish that it would be based on what they think is best for the industry and the sport, not what their anglers think's best. Because what I think's best might not be best, because who are we kidding? If an angler tells you, my opinion means nothing in this forward-facing sonar deal, it's all what I think's best for the sport, they're lying. Yeah. It's their livelihood. It's their career. I mean, if I owned a business, it's like if I owned a business and, the president was like, oh, we're going to make this change to the tax code or whatever, and to blah, 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 and it was really good for my business, I'm all on board. But if it's not, I'm not. Even if it was the best thing for the country, right? It's the same thing. And people don't understand, like, oh, like, it's hurting. That people say, pro live scope guys say, how is it hurting the industry? Like, tackle sales really aren't that down. Like, that's just natural.
Look at what's coming out at ICAST in 2025 coming out here. Like, I mean, I'm seeing all sorts of new stuff for the first time, where I have gone through a new product showcase that is not developed, and I've gone, I need that, I need that, I need that, I need that, and I need that. And in past years, you scroll through and you're just kind of, maybe there's one or two things that you want to add to your arsenal, but I'm like, oh, when all these become available, it's going to cost me some coin. Yeah.
I mean, dude, like, that's the argument, is like, it's not really changing that much. Yeah, you may not like looking at a screen, but you don't have to do it. I mean, dude, look at Bill Lowen. He's annihilating the Elite Series field. He's top 10 in AOY, and he hasn't looked at it one time. He's looked at it a little bit, I'm sure, but like, and look, I'm taking this from a neutral position right now on this podcast. I really am. I just wish there wasn't as much opinion, because everyone knows that each individual angler has their own agenda that works best for their business. Fact.
Do you think to some extent Bassmaster is trying to listen to the anglers too much? I mean, last year when we had it Absolutely. On, I did the mega show where I had 12 anglers come on that gave their opinions. But at the start of it, I had James Hall from Bassmaster who came on. That's a fantastic show in today's climate. And listen, we're so far down a wormhole here. If you're a casual angler and you're listening to it, it'd be like me jumping on a motocross podcast in the middle, and they're arguing over whatever engine size, wheels, something, whatever it is. And, you're like, I have no idea what they're talking about. But, when you're in this is some career defining decisions that are going to be made by the organizations in the coming years. But let me say this then. It sounded, so James Hall came on, and I don't want to misquote him. I should have listened to that before, but basically I flat out said, so what Bassmaster's position now is that there is a place in the sport for forward-facing sonar moving forward. And he said, yes, there is. But then, in the same breath, said, this will be revisited on a yearly basis. Right. Which to me, and I've said this about the BPT, and I think MLF has done a really good job of molding it and experimenting and getting something that seems somewhat normal. They've got a disaster on their hands as far as how to implement that on lower levels. I mean, you've got 4 different ways to do it and a bunch of changes next year for it as well. But as long as any organization is making it a discussion where people or anybody in it believes it, it's always going to be an issue. It's going to be like it's always going to be an issue until they're saying this is how it is. This is how it is going to be. Like there needs to be, I think, like for the next 3 to 5 years, for the next, because you're just going to end up, regardless of what you do, cycling back through it year after year after year. And then you get more vitriol, and then you get more anglers who are upset or who are not. So to me, it's very difficult unless you say, boom, it's part of the game. It's not part of the game.
One or the other. And that's why I'm not a fan of 50-50. I was on the phone with Gerald, who obviously does not love forward-facing sonar. Thinks it's bad for the industry. We were talking, and I said, look, I don't care what they do. Obviously, I use forward-facing sonar. I like forward-facing sonar. But if they came to the conclusion, like I said, it was like, this is not happening, this is bad for the sport, and got rid of it, that's fine. But say that and forever hold your peace. Like, I don't want every year to have a rule to the game. And just like what you said, it's career defining. You can't make a career defining rule change every year and expect that people aren't going to get upset. I mean, that's like telling, wide receivers one time they can't use gloves. They can't use gloves in this year, but then next year they can. I mean, that is a big, it doesn't seem like a big deal because they're still fishing or they're still catching. But that's
to where minute differences make big differences, whether you are, on tour or not. And
especially, Matt, with what we have going with what they did for the past 6 years, which was forward-facing sonar baits, forward-facing sonar, seminars. This is the technology that you need to get good at so you can make the Elite Series and be successful. Like, it was pushed on this younger generation. Now, I'm 28.
Mm-hmm.
So I first got forward-facing sonar at the Oneida Lake Open in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
2022 was the first year I got it. I was 3 or 4 years behind. I mean, all day. But dude, it was like, I remember my buddy from K&K Customs, he called me, Kevin, he said, dude, you got to see this. Like, it is awesome. Like, you can go up to it. And this is how like naive it was. Like, we didn't even know about fish out in the middle. Right. So he was like, dude, you can pull up to a dock that you're flipping and I remember this conversation like it was yesterday. He's like, dude, you can pan under there. And I was like, what do you mean pan? He's like, you can face your trolling motor under the dock, look under there and make a pitch. And you can watch your bait go under the dock and see if there's any fish under there. And I was like, dude, that's the dumbest thing ever. Why wouldn't I just fish the dock? And if I got a bite, I got a bite. And if I didn't, I'd move on. I'll just figure out where I'm getting bites. He's like, no, dude, it's legit. So finally he's like, dude, let me just get you one on the boat. And I was like, okay. So I got it for the Oneida Open. After I got that, I was like, wow, this is legit. And dude, it's all that, what? Oh, I like it. Bobby, I'm in. But like, dude, it's been forced. It's been forced. And now you're telling guys like, I mean, I'm not going to throw names out. I feel comfortable. They don't care. Tucker Smith, Emil Wagner, all these guys, they're just as good at shallow fishing as they are using forward-facing sonar, but they have put a lot of eggs in the forward-facing sonar basket. Trey McKinney, JT Tompkins, all those guys have put so much time and effort into it, telling them telling me year over year over year, it's not happening. It's not happening. It is, because that's exactly what's going to happen, Matt. You know it as well as I do. Next year, we don't have it. They cancel it. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. They cancel it. Then the year after, they bring it back, or 2 years after, because we re-vote. And then all of a sudden, there's more a younger influx of anglers, and we vote to have it again.
Is it safe to say now? So there's
I'm trying to be neutral, Matt.
No, I understand that. Is it safe to say, let's just keep it at 100?
Yep.
And there was, yes or no, there was a survey that went out that Bassmaster said, like, hey, do you want it? Do you not want it? Do you want to split? And you voted for it and sent it in.
No, it wasn't Bassmaster. The angler board sent it out to the 103 anglers, and they voted.
So let's say, I don't know what the results of that were. Let's hypothetically say it was roughly a 50-50 split. Would you agree?
There were 3 options, Matt.
Okay.
So that's where it got tricky. There was 3 options.
Which were split, yes or no?
It was keep it as is, 50-50, or ban it. So those were the three like that everyone voted on.
Okay.
And then it got brought after that vote, it was cycled out to like 50-50 or ban it.
So is it safe to say you're in the middle of this? You're a young angler, you have big sponsor deals, you're getting married, this is your livelihood. You're cool with guys that are older.
Absolutely.
You're cool with guys
I respect
that are your age and younger. Exactly.
This is the thing, Matt. I respect them. The guys that have been in this the longest time, I think that's one problem that a lot of the younger guys have or had. And that I can't say this now, but that was a part of the issue last year. Like, I respect them more than I do anyone because, dude, they've seen it all. FLW, Redman, like, dude, like they're what made this industry what it is. So that's why I have such a hard time when they keep telling me, hey, it's not good for the industry. And I'm like, but is that your opinion or is that rooted in fact?
This
like,
is where I'm getting to this. Would it be safe to say that if you were to, and obviously no one knows who voted for what or why, but if you were to take a look at it, that it would be very evenly split between the anglers who make the majority of their income and decisions and careers based on the technology and the use of forward-facing sonar, and those who do not. If you were to look and say, like, I feel, this is just me, that I could go down the list of 97 Elite Series pros and within 3 guys have how they voted 100% correct. No. Is that division? Are there guys who are forward-facing sonar gurus on the Elite Series who you think of a scope guy, who you think of this, who said, you know what, I'm making $100,000 a year and I have a great sponsor portfolio and I've built it over the last 3 to 4 years on this, but you know what, I agree, I see the light, I do not think long-term it is good for the sport, I'm voting no forward-facing sonar? And are there guys who have not adopted or adapted to it, who say, you know what, I'm getting my ass kicked, but that's on me. I need to get better. I think we're catching more and bigger fish and it's enjoyable. And even though this might be the end of my career, I think it's great that this is a part of the sport with Bassmaster for the foreseeable future. Is it along those party lines? Either it's helping me more and adding more to my pocketbook, I'm voting for it to stay, or I'm getting my ass kicked by it, let's get it out.
I think that's a good question. I think, first of all, no one in their right mind is saying because forward-facing sonar, it's the end of my career. And if they are, they shouldn't be in this anyway. That's like me saying without forward-facing sonar, it's the end of my career. I'm confident enough in my fishing ability. I don't care what they do. Do whatever, but make the decision based in truth and in fact and what's going to help me, Bassmaster, and every other angler for the next century. Like, that's what I want to have happen. I want to live out my dream continuously, and I want the money to be in the industry for me to do it. Now, with that being said, I think that guys that have not adopted it, I guarantee, or aren't what you say forward-facing sonar gurus, I think there are some of those guys that would vote to keep it. I really do. I do not think that someone that is good with forward-facing sonar and uses it from time to time would vote to ban it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, it's one side. Like, I think there are certain guys that, I say that, but maybe a handful. Pretty much you could probably go down the list within 5 anglers and get it right.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said.
Yeah.
It's what benefits
you,
the angler. All right. So
that's the thing, Matt. If Bassmaster would have just made the decision on their own, I think people would have been far less ruckus. Dude, I didn't even have that much fun this year. They need to keep
Clay. Every once in a while, Clay will come out with an absolute gem of a comment. I starred this one, and I'm leaving it up here for a minute.
Yep.
Clay said, Bassmaster already lost the anti-FFS crowd. They need to keep the box and farm new fans.
I agree. But not if it's truly bad for the sport and the industry. And that's why I keep saying, I wish they had made a decision and said, dude, the amount of drama last year, I was like, okay, new year, whatever, we're good. this Angler chat and the back and forth, it made me not enjoy the season as much. People are mad, dude. People are mad. People are like I said, they're like, you can tell they're in the weighing line, just like mean mugging. Like, it's like, man, like we are lucky to be doing this. And there are guys that just, I would think they were, working in, digging, I don't know, whatever, like doing something that they don't want to do. And I just wish Bassmaster, that's the one thing. I think Bassmaster makes really good decisions. I think the one thing that they needed to do was say, this is where we draw the line. We are making the decision, period. Instead of try to keep us distracted mid-season, going back and forth with each other about, well, it's good for the industry, it's bad for the industry, what are we going to do? And we're all in there arguing as anglers. Why don't we start talking about things that actually will help the anglers and anglers in the future, rather than worry about a technology that, I don't know.
Listen,
and I sound...
No. I'll say this. So I've talked to leadership at Bassmaster, and then also kind of looked into how truly big the electronics companies are. This is a podcast and a show that deals with something that's really far down a wormhole. That's why I love it, because you can get into the weeds and talk to the guys. I mean, you're living it, you're in it, and it affects our livelihoods, and we can let these listeners and viewers, the 150 plus that are watching this live night now, a little glimpse into kind of how it's actually going down behind the scenes, and take it for face value. But I hear a lot of people saying it's money, it's whatever, the money, that's where they'll go with it. I think that there are people at Bassmaster who value Bassmaster more so than a 3-year contract with a company. So I don't think it's that. It is a factor. I don't think it is the factor.
No, me neither.
That's just me personally. You can say that. You can go there. I mean, it's real easy to just say, hey, Garmin says you don't do it, we pull our... No. That is not the case. They wouldn't be doing any of this. It would be a much easier decision. Also, Garmin, as of last year, they did $6.3 billion in revenue. If you look at the list of things that just Garmin does, like
the Onyx, like
fish finders, like none of that is even listed as
2% of their net
as anything in it. So it's not like you have, I would imagine, representatives from Garmin that are walking up in suits and briefcases saying, hey, our company depends on this decision from Bassmaster. It is a grain of sand on a beach to Garmin.
Literally. It's probably 0.001% of their revenue. Maybe less. I mean, you're talking about planes that all they use is garments, like they, like $150,000 items that Garmin sells to Delta. I mean, like we're a drop in the bucket.
Yeah. MJ says, totally agree. Bass needs to be the leader and just ban it or not. You can't come and go with fishermen's opinions. That's great. And then I'm going to read this next comment, and then we're going to roll into a break, and we'll talk about the fourth option.
Okay.
Because there is a fourth option here that we haven't even talked about. And it was Dennis Miller who said the pie is being cut 3 ways now, not 2, and it was only Bass and FLW. I will say this. I will like to get your take on perhaps a quartered pie. We'll just leave it at that. 4 slices. It's BTL on a Wednesday with Kyle Patrick. Hopefully we're having a enlightening, eye-opening, fairly even level discussion about the future of the sport that, we both have grown up with and love. BTL on a Wednesday. We'll be back right after this.
Everything you need, one legendary brand. Top 100, Strike King.
that just plain works. Cast after cast after cast. AFCO. Any fish, any water.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
As a professional angler, there's only one thing that connects you to your paycheck. Probably the most crucial part to tournament bass fishing. I use Sunline because they have a line for every application. Shooter, FX2, All Might, super light line, big stuff, big sticks. Sunline has you covered.
Sharp as can be. Super strong, super durable.
Really good penetration.
Thinner and stronger.
Catch fish after fish.
I want to make sure that I'm using the best stuff possible.
World's finest hook.
World's finest hook.
Gamakatsu. World's finest hook.
Welcome back, Beach on a Wednesday, talking with Kyle Patrick. All right, I talked about the fourth option. Fourth option is you have the MPFL, or you have a league that is mixed. You have MLF that's like 50-50 or so. Basically, the fourth option would be a league where all the young guys say, hey, we have sponsors. We all are confident in it. All three of the major electronics companies get behind it, and it's a no holes barred, for lack of a better term, scope tour. And if you want to watch that and that's your game, you go watch all the guys battle it out, and you lose 15 off of the BPT and 10, 20 off of the invitationals and 30 guys off of the Elite Series, and you take basically for the majority, 75% of the guys who have qualified for these tours, who are, quote, the next generation, the future, and they go field their own 50-guy league. We're all fishing for each other's money anyway, and if that's the cat's pajamas, then you watch that. If you don't, you go watch it, and it all takes care of itself, and that's that.
I don't love it because you're splitting it even more, dude. And I think that's the last thing we need, honestly, is another league to try to keep up with. I mean, you see the NFL. That's the cream of the crop. That's it. And I think there's a reason, like, you want all the best anglers. You want all the best anglers, in my opinion. And I want there to be a head honcho, right? Like, this is the example. PJ Tour and Live, cream of the crop, arguably, right? Mm-hmm. I like PJ Tour better, but whatever. But then you have that new league that formed. It's like that inside golf, like the dome. That would be like MPFL. That would be like, okay, the cream of the crop still fishing the MPFL, but like it. I mean, and I like the MPFL, but like they're just not Bassmaster yet. Right. And they might not ever be, but that still doesn't mean that they can't have a super successful business and make a big name in this industry, which they already have. I just don't think we need to split it even more to where there's that many different leagues going on, because I also want to see Bill Lowen catch him on the St. John's, not using it versus versus Jay looking at perspective mode and like, I want to see that battle. That's what makes it interesting. I don't want to see everyone doing the same thing, and that everyone's going to say, well, on St. Clair, everyone will be scoping. That's true, but that's also schedule based. Look at our schedule this year. There has been, I think it was an excellent schedule for the diversity in fishing techniques.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you're looking at this. I mean, I'm just looking at this now. You've got Bill Lowen in 5th, John Cox in 14th, Kyle Welcher in 16th, Brock Mosley in 18th, Bob Downey 19th, Caleb Kubal 20th, Wes Logan 21st, Seth Fider 22nd, Drew Cook 24th. And those are all guys that I don't associate with forward-facing sonar.
But they can use it.
Yeah, they can all use it, but I mean they're all, you know, firmly inside of the. Let me ask you this. I've never asked you this, and then I said we talked about that kind of fourth option. Is it seemed like over the last couple years, specifically that rookie class 2 years ago, like they came on and just run roughshod through the entire field, like 3, 4, 5 top 10s. 6 of the top 10 guys were rookies. It was unbelievable. We're not really seeing that so much this year. I mean, we had Easton Fothergill come in who won the Bassmaster Classic, and he's still 31st in the standings. Tucker Smith win, but he's down there in 25th in the standings. Like what made that class like just dominate so many top 10s, so many guys, that I think that actually like shocked the industry and the system. I think that more so than forward facing sonar itself was that rookie class, and you were part of it, that came in and just top 10'd everything all year long. And that made the whole industry go, whoa, like this has never happened in 50 or 60 years. It's 3 years just to get established. You have a guy like an Ashley or a Remitz who might come up and have a great event, or a Politic who might come up. But like that, I think, was the catalyst. Whereas we could have exactly what you had now, but if that year class came in 2 years ago and had success, but not what they did, I don't think it's as big of a quote unquote issue as it is now.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, I think it definitely shocked the industry, but what I think it did most was all the anglers on the Elite Series and other places were like, look, these guys have been getting after it the past 5 to 7 years. You know, not only was the schedule lined up for a forward-facing sonar deal, and it really was. I mean, let's face it, like, exactly. The feeder system is working, but I think it was the best thing that could have happened. And I wasn't a part, like, I think I finished like 20th last year, maybe 18th, something like that, 16th. I don't know. Like, dude, like, I think people were like, wow. So I think sport is getting to the point where, like, I mean, TNZ podcast just had something on it. Like, if you're not performing, you're gonna fall. Like, there's no like
big Jeffries deal too. He was always about it. I failed to miss the press release where it said the majority of the elites voted to ban. Was there a press release that I missed on that? Was there a official word that came from the Anglers Committee? Was there a press release from Bassmaster that came out? Like I failed. Maybe I'm just not doing my job right, but I failed to see any official documentation or anywhere where it says majority, vast majority. I don't know. Maybe I just missed that. CCRR. Okay, moving on.
No. So what he's saying, I think, and CCR, please comment so I can see your response. I think what he's talking about is the negativity in the comment section about forward-facing sonar.
No, he said here, the majority of the elites voted to ban it. I'd love to know how he knows that.
Yeah, I would too. How does the Facebook, complaining not reflect reality? Is there more to that?
No, that's just what it said. I'm just saying.
So the reason the Facebook complaining
because Facebook isn't reality.
Yeah, I mean, there's Facebook, dude. Like, look, here's the deal. It's just the same thing as. I mean, it's pretty similar to politics. Like, if someone posts a video of Joe Biden talking, the negative people are going to come in and roast him.
Yeah, it doesn't
that's
matter
just
either way.
how it
I'll say
goes.
this. So Andrew, like I said, I don't do Facebook. I've been
Can I just
forced
say
on
one
it.
thing on that?
Yeah.
Wesley Gore. The Facebook complaining is nonstop. Wesley Gore swam a jig on live and boat flipped an 8.5 pounder on Lake Fork in the dirt. And in the comments, it was nothing about, wow, that's cool. Good job. There was a few. Most of it, if you pulled it up, most of it was, wow, scoper on the bank, or surprised he's not scoping. It's like, can we not win here no matter what we do?
No.
It's so the complaining has nothing to do with the reality of the industry, what's good for the sport, what's good for Bassmaster, what's good for the anglers. That is guys sitting in their couch with Cheeto dust on their fingertips, friggin' commenting because they're not out there, in my opinion, honestly.
That is not reality. So Andrew posted a picture of me catch the 10
hard to
pounder.
differentiate it, though.
Listen, you and I have stuff in common where we tend maybe to overreact to certain situations that, I like look back on that fish catch where I caught the 10 pounder and went, oh my God, and was like, man, I would love a do-over on that celebration. Like, I just don't like that. I mean, yeah, I have a bunch of guys, oh, that was awesome. That was a raw reaction. Anytime that clip comes, I fast forward past it.
Yep.
So he posts it. It goes viral. It has almost 1 million views on Andrew Upshaw's deal. Has whatever 700-800 comments on it. I hadn't read it. It was shocking to me what was said about me, not the
like
celebration, but about the actual fish catch. Like, you just sit there and you're like, this is not real life.
Dude,
it's not real life. But guess what? If I hadn't looked at that, I haven't looked at it. It doesn't exist to me. Like, that was the first time I looked at it. I didn't know that it was even out there. Like, I'm living my normal life in the industry, doing all of that. Like, if you look at it, it consumes you. Like, I was like, holy cow, this is why I don't look at this stuff.
Dude.
And I'm done.
I'm going to tell you right now that if you watch someone catch a 10 pounder and have a raw reaction to it and you comment something negative, you don't love bass fishing.
It wasn't about the fish catch. It was
about,
there were so many people that ripped me for bed fishing.
No. But
and I was like, oh yeah, we're in the middle of the lake bed fishing in 25 foot of water in June. You got, ripping a bass off of there were a lot of good, like, oh great. Yeah. Team USA.
Yeah,
that type of stuff too. But it just shocked me how, it just shocked me. But it doesn't exist. It's not real.
No, and you don't. The way I look at those comments, it's like there's no way they could actually have a passion or love this sport and industry if they're going on there and telling, like, you catch 10 pounder, have a raw reaction about it, and they're throwing hate. It's like, dude, like, there's no way. There's no way. You're definitely some guy that this popped up on his feed because it got a lot of likes and views, and you just hate bass fishing, or you hate the idea of people on the lake fishing or something. Yeah. There's no way they can like bass fishing if they're so negative about it.
Now, let me say this. There is a bunch of anglers right now, and there is a core group, and I will say BPT, MPFL, which the fact that they're included in this conversation and that they're viable and stuff, hell of a job, MPFL. Mm-hmm. Tip of the cap. Bassmaster, that care about the sport, that love the sport, that aren't going anywhere, that are living out their dreams at that top level, that are willing to make sacrifices for the betterment of the whole, that are about the positivity and building their brand along with the organizational brand. Like, I do not think it is on the verge of collapse anywhere near it. There are literally the majority of the guys, in my opinion, based on what I've seen, although they might not be happy, they are in this thing. They're passionate about it. They understand it. They love every second of it on the water, even though it might be exceptionally stressful. And that needs to be highlighted as well, because that is the foundation of every organization, is that group of anglers along with the fan base that supports them.
Yep. I agree.
So, are you excited for the last two? I mean, what do you have? What do you have like in the next 2 years? You're in that weird no man's land. You're like 23rd in the Angler of the Year to where, an Angler of the Year title this year is out of it. You're 50 points basically to the good right now on it. Does that affect your decision making over the next two? Like, hey, let's go out, maintain, and head to Knoxville.
Yeah, it's a lot of it's that. Like a lot of it is, look, hey, let's just try to get two top 70s, and we're going to Knoxville.
Yeah.
But I'm not. That's not the mindset. Obviously, in the back of my head, I'm like, I need 60 points. But I mean, I'm gonna go, and my goal is to just finish top 10 in AOY and get an AOY check at the end of the year. So I think if I would say if I have like two top 15s, I would have a pretty good shot at ending up in that top 10. Maybe not. I haven't really examined the points hard, but it doesn't change my mindset at all. Like I go out and I do my thing, and
how's the new format with the payout structure? I think it was only $2,000 in entry fees, but like
it was 10,500.
10,000 for the whole year. Yeah, 1,000 for each. But you go into Lake Fork, you would have had a $10,000 check with that 36th place. You get a $5,500 check. You finish 15th at 10 killer. It's 7. But as a whole, like I have not heard that was a massive thing going into this year. Like that seems to be functioning exceptionally well right now.
It is. I think, depending on how your season shakes out, you could be way worse off with this format. But what it allows for is a larger array of positive, being net positive at the end of the year, instead of having, probably 40 anglers net positive, you have maybe 65 anglers net positive as far as just entry fees versus payouts go. And that is exactly it. It is such a stress relief. Like, dude, I have 10,500. That's fine. Have at it. If I win one, I still get $100,000. Top 10. The one thing that I really don't like is that the Bassmaster Classic's 2,500. I don't see how it affects that. I guess I kind of do because they're bringing in less, but I just think the Bassmaster Classic's the one bummer about the format, because you got an opens guy that's chasing his dream. He doesn't have a lot of money, right? He doesn't have giant sponsorship dollars. He comes in, he qualifies, he wins an open. Yeah, you get some good money there. But man, a classic for me with my media guy, Airbnbs, and travel back and forth from the ramp and everything, dude, I'm in that classic for $5,000 easily. Your travel and everything, gas, you're in that classic. No, without a doubt, if you're going to fish the Bassmaster Classic, you're spending $5,000. And to only get a $2,500 check, I think is kind of like, man, like you basically have to top 10 to make any money. And I just don't think that's right. I think, it is so hard to make the classic. And if you make that thing, you should be going there for free, at least. Like, I think they should make it $5,000 for last. Cause it's a lot of money to spend to do that,
Are you still running those crazy non-endemics this year?
Oh, not Morgan Stanley. No. I did some DraftKings work this year.
Yeah, I saw that.
That was cool. And I think it's super hard to keep those because it's how am I going to outperform like Serena Williams in eyeballs? Like, I mean, you know what I mean? And I think it's just, that one was challenging. I was so thrilled to get it last year, but that one's a challenging one, and I offset it. So I'm not too worried about it, but I definitely am always on the prowl, and I've got a few things in the works for next year for some cool sponsorship opportunities. My goal is to find a sponsor that like fits really well, but also loves bass fishing so that I can provide value, with eyeballs and with selling, but then also I could be like, hey, dude, I'm gonna go take you out, in Fort Worth if you're down there or whatever. So I've got a few things in the works there that I'm excited about.
You still love it?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, dude, it is a job too. No, that's the truth of it. Dude, I love it. Like, dude, if I'm catching a big bass in a tournament, like I geek out, like geek. Yeah. I don't even care if it's a 3.5 pounder. So yes, I do love it, but there are portions of it where sometimes it can get really tiring. But I wouldn't change it for the world. You know what I mean?
First world problems.
Right. Exactly.
When it comes down to it, like deep in their soul, how many of the 100 guys do you think still truly love it? Even though they might just be naturally inclined to bitching and moaning.
I think 85, 90.
I said, I don't think you can do it without having a deep-seated love for it.
No, I know, but you get so deep into it that you don't have anything else.
Right.
I think I would say like 85 to 90. I think there's like probably 5 to 10 guys that are just tired, man.
They're over it.
And that could be a 25-year-old, a 30-year-old. I'm not saying that's just the older generation. Like, I think there are guys that realize, holy smokes, like I didn't sign up for this.
Mm-hmm. What's your like one Douglas spinning rod of choice? Like if you could only fish one, like pick one. Like I'm big Fred Kintawi guy.
Yeah, I throw the 704 spinning for all my Senkos, a 7-foot. Like all my weight on fork when I got the Century Belt was on a 704. It's like I think it's the perfect height where I can skip really easily, like under docks, bushes, stuff like that. But then I also can make long casts, and I throw straight fluorocarbon on my wacky Senko, even though people think I'm insane. I still do it. And then all like my minnow rods, any other spinning drop shots, I throw the 744, the DXS 744. That is the rod of choice.
Horizon Head LG on the minnow.
What?
Horizon Head.
Yeah.
On the minnow. You like the LG? You like an LG or a round
I like
head?
both. I throw the LG when I throw the LG when I'm throwing bigger minnows.
Okay.
But like that Toyota series I just fished at Champlain, dude, I was literally sight fishing them on it. So I was throwing a Horizon Head like literally 3/16 or whatever the weight. It was like the lightest thing.
3/32 with the round gun.
Yep.
Huh.
I love that hook. I really do love that hook.
All right, anything else you want to get in here before I let you go? I think that was a pretty positive show, Kyle. Like, I think that was like kind of a behind the scenes show just of a general landscape. Like, it wasn't like a heavy opinion based show.
No,
like it wasn't saying this is what should or shouldn't happen. It wasn't trying to throw anybody under the bus, company wise, angler wise, anything like that. I was a little nervous because I know I didn't really talk with you about what I wanted to chat, but like I needed to have this conversation with someone.
Yeah,
I legitimately, it's basically what it would have been like off air.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. I think it's good to have these discussions.
Horizon LG, not Verizon.
Verizon, high speed, baby.
Yeah, the old high speed. Are you going to iCast or are you one of the?
Yeah, I was close to not going. Thanks, Bobby. Appreciate it, man. I was gonna not go, but then I'm like, man, I've just got a few meetings I probably should go to. So I just booked. I literally think I'm getting there Tuesday night. I'll be there all day Wednesday, and then I'm leaving Thursday morning. Yeah. So it's not like I usually am there like, Monday to Friday or Saturday or whatever.
I'm not going this year.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to do some stuff live with guys that are at iCast.
Yeah. Nice.
But all right. I appreciate it, dude.
Yeah. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate
Don't fall in anymore.
Yeah, right. I had a good time, man. This is always good to be on BTL, the best podcast in the game.
Yeah, now you're in trouble because now you have to say that on all the other podcasts that you're on.
Thanks, Jeb. Appreciate it, dude.
I'd like to think, put a little bit of time on it. All right. What are you sipping on there? People would have thought maybe you were drinking a beer that early. A Polar? A lemon seltzer? That sounds absolutely disgusting. Straight from
I'm
the
a
can.
huge seltzer guy. Oh my god.
Like
Seltzer.
not mixed it. We're talking a lemon seltz, like it's just a straight mixer, straight from the can.
Yeah.
No alcohol.
Mm-mm.
That's just sparkling water with a lemon tint to it, isn't it?
Yep.
You know that's supposed to be mixed with something else. Like there's not
No,
many people
they're
that.
not, dude.
That's
Dude.
fair. That.
I love a good polar seltzer. I'd love them to sponsor me.
There's your plug.
Yeah, 100%.
Lucas got Athletic Brewing, and then Athletic Brewing jumped on with MLF. I think there might be a little opening in the beverage game these days. My biggest thing is it's hard to get to the right person in the non-endemic stuff because I don't think people. Yeah, I don't think people realize how many different ladders there are to get to a decision maker. Like you have the gatekeepers, and then you have all of the analysts, and then you have a marketing company, and then someone at the top of the marketing company. And a lot of times that marketing company farms it out to other people saying, we want to spend X amount of dollars in this space. And then you've got someone who says it's their job to find it. So you're 3 levels removed from someone who can say, yes, 100%. Let's pull the trigger on that.
100%. It's so hard.
And then to find someone
stuff, it was all through a marketing company. Like it wasn't like I had a connection at DraftKings, but it was over. Like she was like, okay, I'm gonna put you in touch with the marketing company that does all our stuff. So yeah, you're right. It is hard. Like I'm always impressed with like people that have true non-endemic. Like damn, you either know someone or
It definitely is either someone or let's face it, there is a certain level of angler in any individual sport or industry, including in the fishing, where if in a focus group marketing study, it comes up that this could be beneficial for their company, they get reached out to because they have their stuff in order. They're the most marketable. They check all the boxes for them, and they don't care who they're for some, not that they don't care, but they want a safe bet that's professional, that's at the top of the game, that's X amount. And there are a handful of those guys who field requests from non-endemics that come to them for it.
Baku. DHL, they came to him.
That's freaking awesome.
It's sick.
Yeah. Dude, he's doing such a good job. Like he's so likable, and I couldn't imagine how difficult that would be just having spent some time, down in Mexico and over in Japan over the last 2 years to try to build a brand in a completely different country. And I was fairly good friends with Marizo before he retired. And it was interesting. Like, you would, you kind of got a little bit behind the scenes. You don't understand like how difficult it is. Like they're fishing and there's like a sign on the bank. Like you don't know whether that says, welcome to Clayton, or whether it says no fishing here to dam. Like you have no clue. So
no idea.
You forget. They're like, he won't fish. Like we won't fish with anywhere where he's within sight of an English sign, because he doesn't know what it says and he doesn't want to get DQ'd. He doesn't know when you go into a marina, whether it says absolutely private, no boats, no fishing, private, public, anything. So like and then, like I said, to build the brand, to get it, to keep the family and the fan base and all that in a different country and stuff. Then,
so much respect for that, honestly.
Yep. And same with you too, guys. Like talking how connect with the fans because they're being themselves, not doing their best impression of a Bass Pro.
I think that's the biggest thing, dude. If you try to like, and I remember back in the day, I'm like, oh, I want to be like, Kevin or Ott and I think that's a mistake. People try to be like someone that they look up to, and it's a big mistake, I think.
Yeah. Authenticity
is huge.
Is you can't duplicate authenticity.
No. Absolutely not.
So all right, I'll let you go, Kyle. You're the man.
Here's Matt. Good hanging.
All right. See you. Appreciate it, dude. All right. Sometimes that was kind of a centering show for me. I really enjoyed it. Big news tomorrow on day 4, but first we're going to take our final break of the show. Then we come back, wrap things up for July. 9th. We're a third of the way through July. How did that happen? Sunburn's better, by the way. Like much less itchy, less lobstery, and more kind of like a pink patchy color now. Any suggestions on this stage of the sunburn on what I should do to maintain the comfort level? That's one of the reasons why I've also been going with kind of the AFCO button down and a big shirt underneath it. It's just like anything tight to the skin is kind of itchy with the stage 4 sunburn that I achieved over the 4th of July holiday weekend. I think getting a sunburn out by the pool or on the lake is one of the most American things you can do on 4th of July. I was laying on a American flag blanket listening to Toby Keith. It was a good time. All right, we'll be back right after this.
In 2023, we became a household name in the crappie fishing world thanks to Power Breaks, the game changer. Hey, bass fishing world, buckle up, because you're next. It's going to be fun. Welcome to the next evolution of our product line, Power Breaks Sidekick, designed to install right on your shallow water anchors. We are the first and only fishing brake company to offer a breakaway system. Just like with the Game Changer, the Power Breaks Sidekick has it as well. And it's not a matter of if you're going to need it, it's when. Power Breaks, the most durable fishing brakes available on the market today. Made right here in the USA with our rock-solid 2-year warranty. Hey, not all fishing brakes are built equally, and you owe it to yourself to find out why ours are different. Power Breaks Sidekick. Order yours today at mypowerbrakes.com. You'll be glad you did.
Pro Bass Adventures is reinventing Mexico bass fishing. With boats equipped with 12-inch Garmin units and LiveScope Plus, free loaner fishing rods, and no-cost airport transportation, Pro Bass Adventures is proudly putting you in the best position for success. Pro Bass Adventures has lodges on Lake Baccarat and Lake El Salto, Mexico's 2 best trophy largemouth bass lakes. Visit probassadventures.com or email probassadventures@gmail.com. The official Mexico fishing lodge of Bass Talk.
Beatdown is efficient.
Rock solid.
100% American made. This thing is super tough. I mean, this thing is not going anywhere.
I've ran the Beatdown double stack from Florida all the way up to New York. And the one thing that I know is when I get to my fishing destination, I never have to worry about issues with my graph mount.
Your options are endless with these mounts, but they're steady, they're solid. These are the most reliable mounts on the market, and you can't go wrong with the Beatdown.
When you're ready to hit the water, Denali Fishing has you covered. Regardless of your skill level, from beginner all the way up to tournament pro, Denali has rods, reels, and tungsten to get the job done. Check them out at denalifishing.com.
Your early morning mentality is your every hour mentality. All gas, no brakes. Focus, purpose, power. Destined for the water, but confident everywhere else. A calming buzz before the storm, truth of nature itself. You can't catch lightning in a bottle. There's a limit out there, but it's not with your gear. Unrelenting power delivery. Unparalleled weight savings. Keeping you on the water, whether you run a 9.9 or outscoping your best 5. In this rare air, there's power in the silence. It's a mindset, thinking only of the things that matter and freeing your mind from the things that you trust.
All right, wrapping things up here, BTL on a Wednesday tomorrow. One of the kind of annual shows that we do with Frank is Dan Miguel from Great Lakes Finesse is on, and they keep coming out with just cooler and crazier stuff. So you'll get a little sneak peek of what you'll see at ICAST next week. Also, we are at ICAST next week. If you haven't had a chance to listen to the Best on Tour this week, one of the my title sponsors for the Open, half and half title sponsor. There's one standard, brand new crappie jigs in plastic. So check that out. Best on Tour, Dave Rush, will be at ICAST. We're going to be doing some live stuff with him next week, also from some of the other BTL sponsors at well from the booth. I saw that rig with the Spro, the Chad Shads on it. three of the Spro swim baits at one time. Looked awesome. So Frank will be on tomorrow, next week, ICAST week. Thank you all the viewers and listeners. I want this to be a show. I want it to be discussion, be understanding. It's not I don't want it to be a complaining fest. The last thing I want to do is add to problems or highlight things that aren't problems or profit from things that don't benefit everyone. Like, I run the show, I plan the show. Obviously, I do things that are in the best interest of Bass Talk Live in the show, just like Kyle Patrick does things that are in the best interest for him, and all the anglers do things that are in that. But I think there needs to be like a voice of just kind of explaining situations, getting it out there, talking about what is going on in the industry, kind of like a health of the industry thing. And I think over the years, working with Jeffries for 20 years and how he dealt with things, hopefully that has translated over to the last couple of years. So I think that's all we got for today. I got the yard mode yesterday. I figured out how to bypass the starter solenoid with a screwdriver to start the mower. So I got the yard mode yesterday, but I have, there was a deer in my front yard, and there should not have been a deer in my front yard. I have to go. It is probably 3 solid hours of weed whacking, which I kind of enjoy. Yeah, I enjoy it. It's fun when you get it down there. So that's all we got for today. Same place, same time tomorrow. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. We'll talk to you then. Later.